La 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 la. And I guess that's why they call it the duels. Cards in my hand could be cards spent on you. Summoning monsters, activate trap cards, activate spell cards. Hey! What's up, guys? It's LittleKuriboh once again with yet another episode of LittleKuriboh Watches Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the show where I watch an anime dub from the early to mid-2000s-ish. Oh, it's an old show when you think about it. It was before we even knew that card games on motorcycles was a concept that could happen. Weren't we naive? Weren't we just so innocent and shiny and nude? I was. Still am sometimes, most of the time. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the next episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the English dub thereof, that I have since watched. I gave up on that sentence's syntax about halfway through. But that is essentially what this show is. That's literally what it is, really. I watch an episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX via various legal means, such as Crunchyroll, or YouTube, or DVDs that exist. It's all over the place. It's like it just came out. You see, I foolishly did not give Yu-Gi-Oh! GX a proper chance when it first came out. I sort of looked at it and was like, no. So I wanted to make a series of videos where I give it, a fair shot. I want to look at it and instead go, it's alright. Or be more positive than that, maybe. So far I'm enjoying it though. It's daft. That is actually the best praise I can give the show, and I mean it. It's good because it's so daft. I like daft things, and you can't get more daft than a show where Jaden Yuki is the main character. The very embodiment of daftness. But I don't need to tell you that. Chances are you've already watched episode 18 of the dub, which is what we're watching this week, and you know how daft it is. So without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, this is the reaction video for episode 18 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX dub, entitled The King of Copycats. Not to be mistaken for the King of Cats, which is obviously Pharaoh the Cat. Brah! None shall copy me, not without it being considered blasphemy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go lick my privates for a good 5 hours. That's actually the one thing that Pharaoh the Cat and the Pharaoh have in common. They both like to do that. I'm so sorry that I revealed that. I'm sorry, I've said it, so now it's canon. Episode starts with Jaden Yuki walking through the hallways of the esteemed Duel Academy, and he comes across a crowd of students from all walks of life. Ra Yellow, Slifer Red, Obelisk Blue. That's really every walk of life I can think of. And unfortunately, the only person Jaden recognizes in the crowd is that posh-head Bastion. So he's forced to interact with him. Jaden asks Bastion what's going on, and Bastion explains,
"No, Jaden, just a little lunchtime tussle."
"Oh, it's a little lunchtime tussle, is it? Puts me in mind of being back home in my mansion, where we have lunchtime tussles every day. We get 2 of our servants and we say, fight to the death, while I eat my lunch, which is caviar on toast, because I'm so posh." Sorry, Bastion, I don't mean to rail on you immediately, but you're there. Yeah, it turns out they're at the duel shack, and there is a duel currently in progress. And one of the students is Ra Yellow, with a surprisingly familiar haircut. And judging by his very unique hairstyle, I'd say there's a smidgen of a chance that he's gonna be a prominent character in this episode. If you ever want to know how relevant a character is to the plot of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, check the hair. For example, this haircut, not that special, so I'm not gonna be important in life at all. Bastion explains that this guy is called Dimitri, and Jaden says, never heard of him, which is a weird reaction when you think about it. How many times when you were at school did you get introduced to somebody and be like, well, I've never heard of you? Just seems kind of presumptuous that you would have heard of just another student at any point. What, am I supposed to be impressed that you're another student that goes to this school? Well, I've never heard of you. It's just a strange response, And then we see that the guy that Dimitri is dueling is Cyrus. And Jaden is so pissed that Cyrus is able to have an existence outside of Jaden's social circle that he pushes through the crowd and is like, Cyrus, what the f***? Are you cheating on me with this Dimitri guy? What's going on? Cyrus! Doing things that don't involve me. How dare you? Did you at least tell him to get your game on before you started? You didn't? What the hell? Cyrus explains to Jaden that this duel has high stakes, and he gestures to a wall that is covered in posters of Yugi! Yugi, what's the deal with all these posters having images of you? You know I did all the heavy lifting. Well, look, Pharaoh, once you were assumed into the afterlife, I assumed that all your achievements would just be applied to me instead. 'Cause, you know, you're not around to take credit for them, so... I'm in the afterlife for 5 minutes, and you have a bunch of posters printed without me. Hey man, you snooze, you lose. I am snoozing forever! Well, you lose forever then. Yugi? Cyrus explains that Yugi's deck is going on tour, and the first stop is Duel Academy. And Jaden says...
The original King of Games deck?
Wait, original? I thought that he beat Kaiba to become the King of Games. So doesn't that imply that Kaiba was the original King of Games? I mean, not to suggest that Jaden has never been wrong about something. Jaden zones out while thinking about jerking off onto Yugi's deck or something. And with that ever so pleasant image in your brain now, it's time for the Yukio GX Opening! They should have the Yukio GX Opening go on tour. Like just a series of concerts staged across the world where they just play that one song. I would buy tickets. We come back to the episode and Jaden is still daydreaming about Yugi's deck and marrying it, presumably. And he's like, Yugi's deck? That's a piece of dueling history. It'd be great if Yugi was like, hey Joey, can I have the Time Wizard back? I need it because my deck is going on tour and technically that was part of my deck first, you know? Man, but Yug, what if my deck needs to go on tour at some point? Oh, I don't think you need to worry about that happening anytime soon, Joey. Oh, Joey. Joey. Cyrus points out that the deck won't be going on tour with the Egyptian god cards. You know, just in case somebody gets the bright idea of trying to copy the god cards' art down onto a piece of paper while they're checking out the exhibit. Somebody like, I don't know, say, Bill from accounting? Ah, that old chestnut. But Cyrus explains that it will have Yugi's classic cards like Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. Okay, cool, but will it have Kuriboh? Because that's a very important card that you're not mentioning. And if it doesn't have that, then, rip off. Jaden says to Cyrus, what are you doing dueling? Let's go get tickets. Which is about the only time in the show where Jaden suggests doing something other than dueling. Miss Dorothy explains that there's only one ticket left for the Yugi deck exhibit, and Dimitri and Cyrus are dueling for the chance to get it. Jaden is very disappointed that he's missing out on the exhibit where you'll get to look at some cards from a distance behind a glass case. But then Cyrus reveals that he already got himself a ticket and he's dueling for Jaden. Chumley doesn't get to have one, though. You snooze, you lose, chums. I'm still snoozing forever over here. Insensitive. So Cyrus gets back to the duel currently in progress, where Dimitri, the handsome, devilish, talented, beautiful character that he is, activates Heavy Storm. And if you listen to him, he's kind of doing an impression of Professor Crowler, but it also kind of sounds like he's just being posh.
And I play Heavy Storm! And that young scholar will destroy all the spell and trap cards on the field.
I think you'll find that's cultural appropriation. You can't just pretend to be posh. That's insulting to my culture. The culture of being a posh head. How dare you? Jaden recognizes a bunch of the moves that Dimitri makes, and Bastion points out that that's because Dimitri is just copying what Professor Crowler did in his duel with Jaden, which is a bit weird because Crowler lost that duel and was humiliated. So why are you copying that guy? Dimitri attacks with the cybernetic ghost of Christmas past, which causes Cyrus to activate Magic Cylinder. Dude, I activate my Magic Cylinder at 4:20 every day. And Dimitri's attack is reversed right back at him, causing him to lose the duel, much like Crowler did in the duel that Dimitri is copying. So, mission accomplished? Cyrus celebrates winning the duel and Jaden rushes over to congratulate him. And Cyrus says it was easy since he just remembered how Jaden defeated Crowler in his entrance exam. Yes, shockingly, copying the tactics of a loser will cause you to lose. Go figure. Cyrus laughs to himself and then says, "Oh, I forgot to do something. Congratulate your opponent on a game well played?" Oh no, he just forgot to go get his ticket from Miss Dorothy. Never mind Dimitri, he's dead to me. Miss Dorothy applauds Cyrus's performance and tells everyone to go back to class. Meanwhile, right in front of her, Dimitri has assumed the "I just lost a card game" stance of being on all fours. It is textbook. The crowd of students disperses while chattering to themselves about how much Dimitri botched that duel. But Bastian lingers a while longer and tries to cheer up Dimitri with some of that trademark posh head bedside manner.
Well then, I think that's about the worst of it.
Sure. Until the next time I lose, well, I've had it.
I'm not sure why my posh indifference didn't cheer him up. Oh, look at that, someone running away from Bastian while screaming. Probably something he's used to. At nighttime, handsome, talented, and beautiful person Dimitri, who will likely be voiced by an equally talented and beautiful person in an abridged series someday, is complaining about losing all the time.
Prowler's deck, it was just as useless as all the rest. Kaibas or Zanes, doesn't matter who I copy.
Hey, don't bring me into this. It's not my fault you're losing. You're obviously not copying me properly. Because trust me, I've never lost a duel in my entire life. Dimitri throws a massive tantrum, throwing all his Duel Monsters textbooks onto the floor. And then the poster promoting Yugi's deck falls onto Dimitri's desk. I guess the people who don't get to see the deck in person have to make do with one of the posters. Bit of a shit promotion, isn't it? Dimitri looks at the image of Yugi and realizes what he's been doing wrong. Instead of copying somebody else's deck, he's going to copy somebody else's deck. So just to clarify, pronouncing your name, the emphasis is on the dumb rather than the meat tree. Right? In the Slifer dorm, Jaden is staring longingly at his winged Kuriboh card, and he explains to Cyrus and Chumley that he can't get Yugi's deck out of his head.
Yugi's deck, I just can't get it out of my head.
Huh?
Why? Why? Why do you like grilled cheese?
What, do you want to eat Yugi's deck? Jaden says he can't wait another second to go check out those legendary cards. You know, for a guy who plays long, tedious card games on a constant basis, Jaden really doesn't have any patience whatsoever. Jaden suggests going to the exhibit right now, and Chumley agrees, saying this way they avoid the rush. Cyrus is justifiably upset as he just spent the first 5 minutes of the episode trying to get Jaden a ticket. And Jaden says Cyrus will be first in line to see it tomorrow too. Well, why don't you just wait? You fucking dick. Cyrus looks very unenthusiastic, so Jaden appeals to him by sticking his finger in Cyrus's face and twirling it a lot. I don't know about you, but that would definitely convince me to do the thing that I didn't want to do. Hey Cyrus, you want to go do this thing that'll really inconvenience you? Not really, Jaden. Oh yeah? Well, how about now? I'm poking you in the face. Oh, your fingers smell like Cheetos. Elsewhere, Professor Crowler dismisses 2 security guards who give him the key to the exhibit hall. And of course, Crowler can't resist sneaking a peek at those trading cards that once belonged to a small chap. And he sees that the glass case keeping Yugi's deck inside has been shattered. Like, not even subtly. It looks like, you know how Catwoman does that thing where she, like, cuts open the glass like that? It looks like they did that, except instead of Catwoman, it was the Incredible Hulk. Just like, pfft. It's been obliterated. How do you not hear that happen? Also, it is hilarious to me that the actual setup for this exhibit was gonna be that. Just a glass case with like an elevated platform with the deck box on top of it. You wouldn't be able to see anything, even if you were lucky to get one of the limited tickets available to look at these cards in a glass case. You couldn't see anything. The thing is not big enough for you to be able to put all 40 cards from Yugi's deck on it individually, so they'd just be in one pile, or even in just a deck box. You wouldn't see anything! Who thought this out? Kids will love standing around a glass case and imagining what cards Yugi probably had. Outside the exhibit hall, Jaden, Chumley, and Cyrus sneak past the 2 security guards.
I didn't know he was a doctor. I didn't know he was a dude.
Unfortunately, there is a scene deleted here where Chumley stops to explain just how problematic what that guy just said was. It's a very deep and involving scene, but it had to be removed for timing. Chumley there, one of the last real allies. Jaden, Cyrus, and Chumley get to the exhibit hall only to meet Bastion coming the other way.
Fancy meeting you here. Taking a sneak peek at the deck.
I guess great minds think alike.
Don't you dare lower me to your level, Jaden Yuki. Jaden, unless your thought process is just a long string of equations, trust me, you do not think alike. The kids hear Professor Crowler screaming.
Did you hear that?
Sure did. Someone's in trouble.
Let's go help her.
You might think Bastion's being very ignorant there, but he's actually just too posh to understand what gender is. Jaden and the gang spot Professor Crowler next to the smashed case, and they assume that he stole Yugi's deck. So Jaden immediately suggests they go tell Chancellor Shepard. This causes Crowler to leap halfway across the room and tackle all four of them somehow, which leads to this tremendous shot of their asses. It's no elemental hero Avion, but I'll take what I can get. Crowler insists that he didn't take Yugi's deck, and to prove it, he suggests that they search him. You know, Crowler, if that didn't convince them, you could have tried poking them in the face and just twirling your finger around a lot, because apparently that works. Jaden concludes that the person who stole the egg witch must still be out there. Sorry, the person who stole Yugi's deck. I'm getting my plots mixed up. We then see the handsome, talented, and sexy beast Dimitri standing overlooking the ocean checking out Yugi's deck.
Now that I have the greatest deck, I'll be the greatest duelist.
Yeah, nothing says greatest deck like Winged Dragon Guardian of the Fort. Cyrus spots this mysterious stranger cradling his cards like they are some illicit materials and says, "Do you know anything about Yugi's deck being stolen?" Apparently basic deduction is not one of the skills required to be a duelist. Dimitri turns around and is now affecting an approximation of Yami Yugi's voice.
Stole? What do you mean? This is my deck. If you don't believe me, why don't you go ahead and let me show you?
Oh what, so now we have to listen to somebody doing an impression of Dan Green? Who wants to sit around listening to that? It's just insulting to me that they would think that anybody would want to listen to somebody doing an impersonation of the Pharaoh's voice. Like that. That's daft. Come on. That's just insulting. Dimitri pulls a second duel disk out of thin, bloody air and throws it to Cyrus. A second ago, we saw him holding Yugi's deck in both hands. He wasn't holding that duel disk between his thighs, was he? Was he? Meanwhile, Jaden, Bastion, and Chumley meet up, and Bastion says that the dorms are clear. Wait, did Bastion seriously creep into everybody's dorms to see if they had some cards? That must have been an involved and terrifying process. I would not want to wake up to Bastion rifling through my deck. You should just go back to sleep. Nothing suspicious happening here. That idea is just fucking terrifying. Then they hear Cyrus crying out, and they all run over to where the noise came from. And they find Cyrus like keeled over, like he's just been knocked the out by Brock Lesnar or something. Jaden asks Cyrus what happened, and Cyrus explains that Dimitri has Yugi's deck and he's using it. And of course, Jaden responds appropriately by going into the school, getting those security guards, and bringing them over here and telling Dimitri to stop. Oh, no, he challenges Dimitri to a duel, because that's his only fucking solution for fucking anything. Jaden starts the duel off by playing Bustina in diff mode. And then Dimitri very dramatically fuses Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts, with Baphomet to summon Chimera, the flying mythical beast. Sorry, I can't help it. You know, you'd think that Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts, would be more powerful than just a flying mythical beast. But who am I to judge? I don't know. Cyrus, Bastion, and Chumley all react to seeing Yugi's cards like they just watched the Beatles in concert with the Spice Girls, all performing in their underwear. Beautiful, bubbly bastard Dimitri has Chimera jump on top of Bustina and destroy her. Chumley asks Cyrus if he has any advice for defeating Dimitri, and he uses this conversation as an excuse to bust out his trademark Hank Hill impression.
Got any advice on how to beat him?
None. I tried everything, but nothing worked.
Bastion says that the problem is Dimitri is now copying Yugi's deck, and since there is no known formula to defeat Yugi, there is now no known formula to defeat Dimitri. Actually, I think you'll find that Yugi Moto plus Seal of Orichalcos equals Yugi loses is the correct formula. Jaden fusion summons elemental hero Thunder Giant, and as usual, Thunder Giant's special ability causes Chimera to be destroyed, as its original attack is lower than Thunder Giant's. Dimitri makes a Dan Green noise. And then he explains that when Chimera is destroyed, it allows Berthamet to come back from the GY. And then Jaden attacks Berthamet with Thunder Giant and destroys it. Jaden muses to himself,
That deck's living up to the hype.
yeah man, he's really living up to the hype. I mean, he summoned a couple of things, and he's attacked one time. King of Games! Dimitri uses Monster Reincarnation to bring back Gazelle, and then he activates Swords of Revealing Light. I really can't help it, I'm sorry. And of course, since they've been attending Duel Academy for some time now, Jaden knows exactly what Swords of Revealing Light does. Right?
Hey, what's happening?
I guess somebody must have activated Swords of Revealing Light on Jaden's education, because he's probably going to be held back 3 years. Dimitri graciously explains what one of the most basic spell cards in the game does, and then Jaden summons Dark Catapulter in defense mode, a move that Chumley declares to be licious. Add it to the list. And he expounds upon its liciousness.
Dark Catapulter has a special ability that will let Jaden destroy Dimitri's sword spell card.
Wait, sword spell card? Do you not know Swords of Revealing Light? Does nobody know Swords of Bloody Revealing Light in this bloody school? Dimitri makes more Dan Green noises. And he activates the trap card Dark Renewal, which allows Dimitri to sacrifice one of each of their monsters in order to bring out a spellcaster monster from his GY. So he sacrifices Gazelle and Dark Catapulter to bring out the Dark Magician himself. Jaden is amazed!
I am starstruck.
Yeah, you really sound like you are. Like, a lot.
The Dark Magician is like the headliner of Yugi's entire deck.
It's a good thing Sly for the Sky Dragon isn't around to hear you say that, Jaden, because otherwise he'd be in the corner being like, fine, I guess I don't exist. I know when I'm not wanted. Rah. I'm a monster. Dimitri plays Thousand Knives, which in conjunction with the Dark Magician allows him to destroy one monster on Jaden's side of the field. I know that the Thousand Knives is a reference to that trick where magicians like put blindfolds on and chuck the knives at people, but the implication is that Dark Magician never misses with those knives. So it's not a very good magic trick, Dark Magician. Hey guys, I'm the Dark Magician. Welcome to my magic show. The trick is, I stab people to death. Dimitri attacks directly with Dark Magician, causing a great amount of pain to Jaden. I know it doesn't sound like he's in pain, but it's implied. Gorgeous heartthrob Dimitri, who will probably one day be voiced by a very talented abridger who has a full head of hair and is not a right chubby bastard at all, sends a few mixed messages.
Give up?
Never!
That's the spirit. Never give up.
What? Jaden is concerned at the potential outcome of this duel.
It's his cards I'm worried about. Either I beat him or we lose him.
No! Just call the police after you lose, and then you'll get the deck back. It's not like everything is always riding on you, Jaden. Oh wait, I forgot. It's this show, so I guess it is. Jaden summons Rottweiler in defense mode. And I stand corrected, Rottweiler is actually spelled W-R-O-U-G-H-T, which is a kind of clever pun. So respect is due, I suppose. Bastion provides play by Posh. Sorry. Posh by play. Sorry, Posh by Posh.
Well, there may be no known blueprint to defeat Yugi, but Jaden's still trying to design one, and if my hunch is right, what he's planning might work.
You just took forever to say literally nothing. Jaden resummons Bustina in def mode and then throws down a down. And Jaden thinks to himself that the only card he has with more attack points than Dark Magician is Elemental Hero Blade Edge. So he plays the trap card A Hero Emerges, which forces Dimitri to reveal what his political alignment is.
I choose the far left.
Dimitri allows Jaden to summon Elemental Hero Blade Edge to the field. Jaden's chums celebrate his successful summoning.
Now Jay's got a monster that can stand up to the Dark Magician.
And every other monster in Yugi's deck.
Sorry, but I couldn't help but overhear your friends. They're quite wrong.
And by that I mean, as a concept, they are wrong. They should not exist, especially that posh one. Ooh, I hates that Bastion. Dimitri says it's true. Dark Magician is his strongest card, but it's not about the strength of your monster, it's how you use it. And speaking as someone who has a LittleKuriboh, I can vouch for that. And Dimitri plays the spell card Dedication Through Light and Darkness to transform the Dark Magician into the legendary Dark Magician of Chaos. And the man himself appears, looking all Nights into Dreamsy. And Dimitri points out that in case Jaden hadn't noticed, Blade Edge no longer has the most attack points anymore. Dark Magician of Chaos does, who has 2,800. And Dimitri celebrates this fact by making a bunch of Dan Green noises.
Well, let's... my friend, monsters!
Dimitri attacks, taking Jaden's life points down to 1,300. And Jaden thinks to himself that maybe getting his game on isn't going to be enough in this duel. And with that weak-ass line of dialogue, we are left on the ultimate cliffhanger. And we are left wondering who will win this dream match between obnoxious protagonist and obnoxious character pretending to be good protagonist. And that is the end of the episode. Okay, a few thoughts. I did like this episode, but I'm starting to have an issue with this season of GX. Okay, first of all, I do like the idea of Yugi's deck going on tour. I think that is the sort of thing that would happen in that world, and it's an interesting idea to see explored. And it's cool that it was an important part of this plot. Having said that, it just sort of became a MacGuffin, and it just became the impetus for yet another plot where something is stolen and Jaden has to go find the person who stole the thing and then duel them and get it back, which has been the last 3 episodes. You had the duel giant taking people's cards, you had the egg witch thief, and now you've got the Yugi deck thief in Dimitri. There's only so many times that is a thrilling concept, especially considering that there is this lingering plot thread about Alexis's brother going missing, but nobody seems to care compared to, like, say, a sandwich. It just feels very lazy. It feels very samey, which I admit, you know, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, you were just seeing people duel each other over and over until there was a final winner. It's not like it was like a thrilling roller coaster of emotions every single week. It wasn't really reinventing the wheel, but this feels really lazy. Again, I enjoyed this episode. I'm excited to see where it goes. I feel like Jaden is going to beat Dimitri, but I could be surprised. But again, just recycling the stolen object formula. It's cheap. It cheapens it. It cheapens Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. But never mind all that. The most important thing to ask about this episode is, who had the best ass? Personally, I'm gonna go with Chumley, because while there may have been more shapely and toned asses in this episode, Chumley makes up for it in sheer mass alone. So yeah, Chumley gets my vote this time. But who do you think had the best ass? Do you think Dimitri's ass can do impressions as well? That would be a talented ass, and I would be willing to give him credit for it, but he didn't demonstrate it, so disqualified. Once again, I would be remiss if I didn't give a Dark Magician of Chaos-sized shout-out to all of our Patreon pledges. I want to give a massive shout-out to you guys. You guys make it happen. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, for pledging, for supporting us emotionally, etc. Thank you so much for everything. We really do appreciate it. We owe you guys. Thank you. And speaking of the Dark Magician, one of the stars of today's episode, we have a new shirt in our online store called the Dank Magician. And I know it's not the most subtle or creative or even intelligent joke you've ever heard. In fact, it's probably one of the dumbest jokes you've heard today, if not all week. But it's a t-shirt, and I think it's funny. I think it's daft. I like funny things. I like daft things. I am a funny daft thing. And now, so is that shirt. So if you'd like to pick it up, go to our online store at sharkrobot.com and grab one. I'm still shilling. I'm still shilling. I'm still shilling. So yeah, until next time, I'm gonna go check on my belongings back at the Duel Academy to make sure it's not been stolen like everything else that isn't glued down on this island. I'll catch you later.
Crowler. It's the Egg Witch Thief.